see this basically. You are entering your user ID and password in the sign-on page, and in the background, so whatever the application server associated with this particular web server, so what will happen is this application server retrieves the uh, connect ID details from this one, from the psappserver.cx, which is nothing but your app server config file. So there you can see, right, your connect ID and connect password. So you know what is connected and connect password. So this basically will have that grant session privilege on the PSDB owner table, and also this will be created with one SQL. This I have explained during the installation. So that will be created with the connect.sql. What is that? Some SQL, right? Connect ID dot SQL we use, right? With that it will be created. So using the connect ID, this application checks the PSDB owner, checks the PS OPR definition. Okay. So what basically happens is you will enter your user ID and password, then your connect ID details will be taken from PS app server config file for that application server domain. Once it is successful, using that connect ID, the application checks the PSOPR definition. Okay, PSOPR definition is nothing but this is where all your operator IDs, I mean the user IDs, will be saved. Okay, this is the most important table in PeopleSoft. Okay, like I said in the initial class, so there are few tables which you need to understand the basic things. One of them is PSOPR definition. Okay, and last week during the installation, there was like there were other two tables. These are the other tables which are important and all. So so now we got to know about this one. One more important table is PSTB owner. Okay. So using the connect ID, then the application checks the PSOPR definition. Okay, for the user ID details and the symbolic ID. Okay. So I'll tell you what is a symbolic ID. So usually in real time and all, if you want to connect with any database and all, don't connect like this. So there will be like, if you are, imagine if it is Linux machine and all, if you are giving passwords like this, so this will be, this can be traced easily. So always follow some better approach. So this is fine here. Okay, this is one way you can connect securely, and the other way is like you use like this, and just use username followed by the database name. Okay. Sorry. This is the database name. You can use username at the right database name. After that, you enter the credentials. Okay, this is one way where your username is nowhere can be seen. The other way is like SQL plus /nolo. Then use Linux Stadium for with your database. Here enter your database. So here enter your Stadium password. Okay. So let's discuss this one, right? Once you enter your I mean, using the connect ID, the application checks the PSOPR definition table. Okay. So what is there in the PSOPR definition table? You can run with this command. PSOPR def. So this PSOPR definition, it's where all the details about your operator ID and in the user ID details will be shared. Imagine, Naresh, you have a credentials, so you will be assigned with your operator ID, and same for Sanket, you can use your operator ID to log into your database, to your application, PeopleSoft application. Okay, so all your details will be shared here itself. Okay, so if you open the PSOPR definition, there you can see your OPR ID, associated email details and password, so associated symbolic ID, and when was the last password changed, and whether it is logged or not, you can see under. Okay, if you want to share, imagine real time, what happens is most of the users passwords might get expired, or maybe with the multiple number of wrong password tries, it might get locked. Okay, so those cases handle, what you can do is from the database and side itself you can unblock them. Okay, so with the just simple queries and all. Okay, imagine you want to say about some details about the one particular employee and one particular user. Okay, what you can do is select star from PSOPR definition, where operator ID is PS. Okay, so here it will display the user ID details and everything. So here this alignment might not be the correct one. So you can use an alignment options and all, like define column with line size, page size, everything and all. Or there's one more option, use a SQL developer. Okay, so most of the companies will use SQL developer. So what I'll do is I'll add that one also. Okay, maybe tomorrow I'll download SQL developer, and I'll show you how to connect using SQL developer. So do you guys know how to use SQL developer? Any of you? Otherwise, I'll skip this one, or I can.
Yeah, I used it before.
Then okay, I'll show you. I'll show the nothing but the way we are connecting, right? The alignment will be good. So okay, I'll download it. I don't have installed it. Okay, yeah, I'll install it tomorrow. So basically, your connect ID checks the OPR definition to get operator details and all. Okay, so what exactly it will check is like whether that user ID password is correct or not, or whether that particular user has access to open this page. Okay, and it will check like whether the user ID is valid or not, like whether it is locked, or the password is expired. All these things it will get from the OPR definition. Okay, basically the application uses a symbolic ID to see here for one, for each user ID there will be one symbolic ID. Okay,
That what does symbolic ID
yeah,
uses?
yeah. I'll explain. So that's basically explain this. Okay. See here, if you see here, I'll select only few options: OPR ID and the associated symbolic ID from this table. So this is very important. Okay, this is one of the most important real-time tasks that usually performs. This is not a theoretical subject. So whenever a user ID gets lost, or the user ID is having difficulty to access and all, so this is where you do the basic troubleshooting. Okay, so imagine, so this is the case. We have only one operator ID, right? Let's use that. see this symbolic ID for your operator ID is PS. Operator ID is PS, and this associated symbolic ID is SysADM. Okay. So your operator ID is nothing but your user ID. Okay. So which with which it identifies the person or the system accessing the PeopleSoft application. It's basically your user ID. Okay. The symbolic ID links the user ID to a specific access ID. Okay. So there are three things here. Symbolic ID. So this links the your user ID PS with a particular access ID. Okay. So this is your symbolic ID for your PS user. Okay. Or let me just keep it here somewhere. Whatever the ID still not required. We have connect ID. So connect ID you are clear, right? We used people and people passwords and that. And we have access ID. Other one is symbolic ID. Okay. So basically, so symbolic ID I have explained already. Sorry, the connect ID I have explained already with the installation window. So let's come to access ID. So whenever you create any user ID, okay, let's say PS. So you must assign this particular thing as an access profile. Okay. Access. So that will specify your access ID and password. Okay. Diagram saved it here. This is for Twitter. Okay. And we will explain this part first. So like suggest you have created an user ID. Okay. PS. Let me show you the here. This is the basic navigation to check any user ID and all. Okay. So whatever the details you see it here, right? ID type, roles, email ID. If you go to audit here, when the last password changed everything. So this is nothing but everything when you see these things, right? These tabs. Okay. So these are everything. Whatever you are doing it in the online, you have a you can update it from the backend also. Okay. So this is usually happens whenever the refresh or any activity happens, right? So these things will be you can automate or keep it in a single sequence usually. Okay. So coming to this sign-on flow. So like I said, right, every user ID, okay, so whichever user ID or operator ID that you use, you must assign this particular user ID to an access profile, okay. So that profile specifies which access ID to use, okay, which access ID and password to be used. So usually if I can say this like this PeopleSoft access ID is nothing but our database access ID with which our application is connected to the uh, a database like the one which we used while importing the data mover I told right how to import the data mover and also that's the access ID. So if you see here access ID, our access ID is sysadm. So most of the things access ID will be sysadm only for Oracle. Okay, our DB name is this one and the owner ID is sysadm. So let's say that here the access ID typically that will have like I said, right, it will have the all RDBMS privileges. So that will be required to edit or whatever manipulate or access the data for your PeopleSoft. Okay. So you open it here. Let's come to this one. Like using the connect ID, this application checks the OPR definition and gets the symbolic ID. Okay, user details and the symbolic ID. Okay. So user detail in the sense all these parameters like the access or the password is valid, all these things. Okay. Then this application uses this particular symbolic ID, sysadm1. Then the, uses this symbolic ID to fetch the appropriate access ID. So using this symbolic ID, we can get which will be your application ID, which will be your access ID and all. Okay. So from that, we used to get there will be one more table here. I have mentioned that. Like this here, right? Here, the initial thing that was happened is like whenever you log in, so the user ID hits and the password and all. This associated application server config file will have your connect ID details and all. So that's where your initial connection will happen. And using that connection ID, the application checks the OPR definition. So in the connection ID, right, in the OPR definition table, right, where you have your user details like PS. Okay. So yeah, here it will check the OPR definition table and it gets the symbolic ID. Okay. Then the application uses a symbolic ID, this symbolic ID to fetch the appropriate access ID. Okay. So here your access ID will be in encrypted format. So it will get the access ID details and okay from the PS access profile table and checks the with this like from this table it will what basically takes right. It will check the version and the owner ID. Okay, this one, version and owner ID. Owner ID is not there. It will check the version from this PS access profile table, and there is one more table, right? PS PR definition. Sorry, PS DB owner. From there, it will check the owner ID and all. Okay. Then the owner ID and database is like once everything is retrieved, then application server will disconnect. From that time onwards, you can access with your access ID. So usually from the PIA, it's straightforward. Like whenever you use, like in simple terms, when you connect with user ID and password, it will check the connect ID from the app server config file. Then with that connect ID, the application checks the OPR definition table to get the user details and the symbolic ID details. And then using symbolic ID, you will get the appropriate access ID from access profile table, and it will get the version and everything. And using the PS DB owner table, like the connect ID will have the grant session and the read access, right? So from the DB owner table, you will get the owner and database details. So using that, once everything is retrieved, then what happens is the application server will disconnect using connect, and it will establish a session with your access ID. Okay. So this is one thing. This is like from the PIA, the flow is like this. And if you want to see, if you're connecting from the data mover, this usually called two-tier connectivity. I'll send this document right away. Okay. So this let me connect. We didn't log right anytime before, or did I show you before how to log in? And
No.
so we can log in database, this one data mover with our DB credentials as well as application credentials. Okay. So usually this data mover you use with this tool called psdmt.exe, with which we can connect to the database directly. Okay, imagine whatever you are running with, right? It will be auto commit by default, so you cannot roll back or anything. Okay, and you can connect with your database with the CCDM, like that PeopleSoft owner ID, access ID, CCDM. Okay. So the only difference is if you connect with CCDM, here you can see one option called bootstrap mode. Okay. So with that you can execute few commands and all, but you cannot take export backup using CCDM. Okay. That's one difference. If someone asks like what's the difference between OPR and normal regular connectivity and bootstrap, you can say it right. In bootstrap, some of export commands will go to. Okay. So you entered credentials and you logged in, right? But behind the screens, what will happen is, see this thing. Here, you gave your database name. If you see here, it is grayed out. But our database type is Oracle only, okay? You gave the database name and the user ID and credentials, okay? Let's go to this document. So after clicking the OK button, what it will do is, it will connect with connect ID and password, okay? In the in the PA and all, you have a PS app server config file in the application, okay? But in the data mover, you don't have such file and all. So how you can say like it will validate the connection and all? So usually there will be one more file called pscfg.exe, okay? As an admin, if you are connecting to the database of any PeopleSoft and all, okay? So what you need to do is, The most important thing, this can be blank. Okay, so this can be blank, no issues. But the most important thing is you need to mention the connect ID and the connect password. Okay, so using this connect ID and connect password only, your connectivity will happen. If you give this password as wrong, you won't be able to connect to your database. Okay, so imagine I'm just updating the wrong password. I'll give something people. Okay, and I'm saving this web page. If I want to connect, it is showing that invalid connect ID password and ID and passwords. See your security administrator. Okay, so the first thing it's validating is like whenever you enter your credential and all, so it is checking the connect ID credentials from your PS configuration manager. Okay, this tool is called PS configuration manager. Okay, which is very important whenever you are doing you are setting up a sorry. Okay. So whenever you are setting any application designer or data mover for your for the developers or anyone users and all, right? So whenever you want to set it up, you configure everything here only. Okay, you configure the people credentials. This is one important thing whenever you are connecting. And the other thing which you connect is here profile. See this navigation. Okay, I just click profile. Under edit, process scheduler tab will be there. Here you will mention the PS home location. I'm just explaining whatever this major thing is required. So other things you can leave it as blank for establishing a connection. Okay, for a app designer or a data mover to work. This the PS home is mandatory, and this part. So one DB bin directory. This will be like you can point it out to your what you call data Oracle client DB bin directory, or under PS home there will be something called sys based directory. Okay, you can enter this one as well. Okay, so these two things are enough. Just click on OK, and if there are any other things, so is your organization, if your organization uses Envision and all, right, here you can mention those envisions, drill down directories, everything, and your Win MS Word office location and all. Okay, only if it is a Windows server, and if you are using any drill down, like if I want to use any Envision layouts and all, so here I can mention this part. Okay, so usually for our case, like if you want to configure application designer to work and all, so the basic thing is like PS home and the DB bin directory, these two are enough. And the most important thing is like your people ID and the password. Okay, so these three things are enough. These people, under profile, edit, process scheduler, PS home, and this one. Okay, sometimes if these are blank also it will work, because if you have installed only one PS home in your local machine, and by default it will be saved in your environment variables, right? So that time it will pick up from there. Okay, usually best practice is to have them here. Okay, so why I'm explaining this is like, so when you enter to a data mover, you just giving your PS credentials. Nowhere it's not connected to any application server config file or anything. Okay, because here your application, your web server is connected to application server, and application server will have configuration file. So that configuration file will have this one, your connect ID details and everything. So from this initial connection is established. But whereas here, when you're connecting app design or a data mover, you don't specify, you don't have any web server or application server. Okay, you just had one tool, one GUI tool, PS data mover. So with that, the connection parameters are saved in PS configuration.exe, PSCFG. So there you have entered people credentials. Okay, so it just validating like whether the credentials are correct. So it will goes to the next step. Okay, whether if it is wrong, it just displayed for us, right? You just have seen like when I entered the wrong credentials, so there itself it is giving like you have entered invalid credentials, like people or the people password. Okay, so these things are did you get these steps? Like do you understand like how to configure the configuration manager and this particular step, how why you are configuring people credentials here? Any doubts? Just ask me here itself. Hello?
What is the use of a symbolic ID and access ID here?
See that this basically that symbolic ID is used to retrieve the access ID. Okay,
Okay.
so with that access ID and the access password, your operator ID will be validated, and with those credentials you have seen right here.
Yeah.
With those things, your connection will be established. Okay, so whatever the permissions are associated with your OPR ID will be validated, and with those to those pages your access will be provided, and you can able to view those screens. Okay.
Permissions in the sense of for PA again, what is the role is required for the user?
See, it depends. See,
Okay.
for PS, these are like see, we cannot define what user permissions user should have. Okay, imagine if you are a banking employee and all. So your
Okay.
roles will be different uh, from a PS admin. Okay, so basically
Yeah.
PS admin will have one basic role. One basic thing is like PeopleSoft admin rule we have. Okay, so that's a one basic thing for to do all our admin activities and all. So basically with that we can open all the components under PeopleTools. Okay,
Yeah.
and there are some other tools like reporting tools, all these things. So whatever roles we need to require, we can add it here. Okay, or for any search related things and all, we can add it here.
Yeah.
Like
That
PTA
one
settlement.
I got it. We can base related access. We can provide. We can. Delivered roles or custom roles, we can tag it. I completely got that one. But initially, for PA login also, any specific role like a PA user, some any role, predefined role is required or not, that one I'm not sure. That is the reason I'm asking.
So the basic are simple. Okay, since here the portal people tools roles are mandatory. Okay, to have your access and all. So there
Yeah.
is no such default role and all. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
this
if
one,
you're
yeah, go on.
yeah PA user, PA login, PA user, if you're giving credentials, system will check the whether profile is exist in the PeopleSoft user open definition
No.
table.
So first thing it will do is, so you have your application web server and app server connected, right? In the app
Yeah.
server config file, you have this connect ID and all.
Connected. Yes.
Okay, so with that connect ID, it will what do you call it will check the application class called PSOPR definition table. So like I said right in the last class itself,
Yeah.
so these tables are very important. Like
Yeah.
okay, so it checks the PSOPR definition file, sorry
Yeah.
table, to get the symbolic ID. So from the symbolic ID, it will get the appropriate access ID. Okay, so when the access ID is validated, okay, then with okay, then with the OPR ID, whatever the permissions it will have, the user can access those. I mean, he can view those things.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that's from PIA point of view. So that's not mandatory PIA thing and all, but the thing is like from the two-tier connectivity. So as an admin, the real-time task, like if someone asks you to uh, do this, like establish a Windows workstation. Okay, if someone works how to say that, you have developers, man. You are a developer, right?
Yeah.
So you are a developer, and Sanket is your PS admin. Sanket was assigned with a task to install workstation. Okay, so workstation, which I meant is like to have your application designer and data mover to work for you. Okay, this
Yeah.
is your, you have one server called let's say X is your server name. So
Yeah.
for you might have requested, right? As a developer, you might have requested always PS admin. My app designer is not working. My data mover is not working. You might have
Yeah.
requested in your career multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay. So for to act this, what this Sanket needs to do is, so for
Yeah.
to establish two-tier connectivity or three-tier, this basic things he requires is he need to have people tools, whether client or PS home. Okay, so client is Sanket. You remember you have installed one client from your works what you call that VMware, or you have used one thing. What is that? VirtualBox, right? So
Yeah.
from VirtualBox, you copied from some people tools client and you install client binaries, right? So that client binaries is enough, or you can have entire PS home. Addition to that, you need to have Oracle client. Okay, followed by that database TNS file. So with this, you can have entire workstation. Okay, and you have the software and all, but additionally, what you need to do is in this location, you have one thing called configuration manager. Under this configuration manager, you need to configure these two values. One is the connect password, and the here this PS home and this thing. Okay, so with this, we can check like how the login process is working.
Yeah.
Got it. Behind the scenes, this is how your workstation is installed, Naresh. Like you might have worked on multiple
Yes.
requests, right? Okay, so this is what you can. So if you want next time and all, you can set up your own workstation. You know, right? You need to have people tools, client or the PS home, and Oracle connectivity. So with this and the TNS entry file of your database. So with this, you can establish the connection. You can do it yourself. No need of you, since you have learned it.
Yeah.
Okay, coming to this. Okay, so once you enter your user ID and credentials, okay, if it is wrong, it it will right away displays like the password is wrong and all. Otherwise, what it will do is here what is it is happening. Okay, here it is showing like it will get the credentials from this config manager, which we already seen. So from this file only, it will from this what you call this config manager utility only, it will get the connect ID details. So once those are success, then what it will do is it will get the owner ID between PSDB owner and it will get the owner ID from PSDB owner. Okay, so from the PSDB owner, we have already entered the PSDB owner. So it will get the owner ID. Our owner ID is sysadmin. Okay, so it will get the owner ID uh, for your database, whatever the database you might have entered, right? Here, let's see here. TRN database. For this database, we have got the connect ID details. So using this database detail, what it is getting is, so it is getting the owner ID for your database. Okay, so we have entered one database. select owner ID from ps.psdb owner where db name. So I gave this as a db name, right? From there, what it will do? Okay, so I have entered the database name, and with that I can query the db owner table to get the owner ID. Okay, so then what it is doing is there will be one more table called PS status. The same thing here. Here also it is doing. So this is what it is doing. The first thing, when you enter the credentials, it is getting the connect ID is correct or not. Once it is correct, it is connecting with the connect ID. Then using the connect ID, so since connect ID will have read access on this table, so the first thing it is doing is like it is checking the owner ID for the database name which we gave here is Cicadian, and also it is querying the same owner ID from PS status. Okay, so the PS status will be Cicadian. Okay, then what it will do is the next thing it will do is verifies the owner ID is successful. Then next thing it will do is verifies the tools version. Okay, so basically this PS status table we can get our tools version details. Okay, so our tools version is 8.62.06, right? So the same thing we can get it from the query. Okay, select sorry, tools release. See here. Okay, our tools release is 8.62, patch is 06 patch. Okay, so the basically now what is doing, right? It is verified owner ID is same between DB owner and PS status. The next thing it is verifying is so whether whatever the tool that we are using, okay, we are using 8.6206. Okay, so these particular tools and our database tools are same or not. Okay, so if they are same, then it will proceed with the next step. Otherwise it will display error like your database is on some particular tools and you are using app design or data mover of other tools. So okay, with that it will display some mismatch error. Okay, usually imagine like you have multiple PS homes and you are using some other data mover tool to connect to your database. So those cases, see in real time, you might have n number of environments with the different tools and different patch releases. And if you are accessing 8.62 data mover to connect to 8.61 database, usually, so what will happen is in the background, so it will check the tools released from the PS status table, and it will check whether whatever the tool you have opened, right, from here people to say 8.62. Okay, if both are matching, then it will goes to the next step. Otherwise it will display version mismatch error. Okay, so then the next thing it will do is verifies the enter the username and password with PSOPR definition. Okay. So what it is doing is select the OPR ID password. Same thing, whatever we are doing it online, right? It will check the username and password is correct or not. Okay. So it will basically it will check from the PSOPR definition. So select the OPR definition, password and symbolic ID from PSOPR definition where OPR ID is PS. Okay. If both the passwords whatever we have entered and whatever from the database is correct, then it will take the symbolic ID. Okay. Whatever the symbolic ID that is matched with the user ID, then the next step is verify the symbolic ID. Checks for the symbolic ID assigned to that user in PS access profile table. Here it is showing as access PRFL. Now the latest tools and all, it is the table name is PS access profile. Okay, the table name is PS access profile. This is the latest for the latest tools and all. So check the symbolic ID assigned to that user in access profile like this. If both the symbolic IDs here and this one is matches, then it takes the encrypted access ID and password. Okay. After this, so it will connect with the access ID and disconnects the connect ID session. See, this is happening. Connects to the database with access ID and password. Then according to the roles assigned to your user ID, you can view your access and application data. For example, if you don't have access to any other component and all, you will get this following error. Okay. Did you understand this one? If you have any doubt, just ask me. This is same thing. Okay. So whenever you enter the credentials and all, right, so it will take the connect ID and password from the configuration file. So with that configuration manager, so from the configuration manager and all, you will have people credentials. So with the people credentials, it will connect to the database. So whatever the database you have mentioned it here. Okay, so this database. So using that database name, what it will do is it will get the owner ID details from PSDB owner and PS status. If both are same, then what it will do is it will verify the tools version from the PS status table with your PS data mover.exe. So then if both are matching, then it will validate your username and password. Okay. So if both are username, password and whatever encrypted value from PSOPR definition, if both are matching, then what will happen is it will get your assigned symbolic ID. Okay. Then with the symbolic ID, uh, it it will take the symbolic ID. Then using the symbolic ID, you can access you can get the encrypted access ID and password from PS access profile. Okay. So with the PS access profile credentials, you can establish a connection with the database, and whatever the initial connection that was established with connect ID, it will be disconnected. Okay. So this is the one important chart, and this is some theory. Okay. So what exactly happening is here it was written here.